Hello students, welcome to online classes of Geography of Class 8. This is my fifth class for the chapter number 4, Natural Vegetation. Till previous class we discussed about all the types of natural vegetation. Today we'll proceed to the wildlife distribution, why there is a need to conserve it, and what are the ways of conservation of natural vegetation and wildlife. So directly move to the next part of it, that is wildlife distribution. Now you can see it is there in a tabular form, that the type of the natural vegetation, tropical evergreen, and beside that we are having the type of the wildlife. For every forest cover, it is given in that order, which is also there in your book. It's just in that order. Now what is your work? For each and every vegetative type, that means either tropical evergreen or tropical temperate evergreen, Mediterranean, coniferous, tropical deciduous. For the Mediterranean forest, the wildlife species is not so very available, so it's not been mentioned. For other wildlife, for other type of the vegetations, just like temperate deciduous, grasslands, both tropical and temperate. Then comes desert vegetation, tundra vegetation. Your part will be to just write minimum 3 and maximum 4. Minimum 3 and maximum 4 species, and the species that you can keep it in your mind for all the type of the vegetation. 3 species, minimum or maximum 4 species, not more than that. You can keep it in your copy or note it down in your copy in this tabular order. So there is nothing to be explained that what type of wildlife is found in which type of natural vegetation. I am moving to my next part of today, that continuously the wildlife, the natural vegetation, it's depleting, it's declining. So why there is a need of conservation? Because we know forest is our great wealth, because it helps to maintain the ecosystem while providing habitat to the animals. So this, if continuously forest is depleted, animals will move to the endangered categories, and there will be ecological balance. Next, ecological imbalance. Now next it is changes of climate and human interference can cause the loss of natural habitats for the plants and animals. Now we know global warming is the that is the recent phenomena, weather, that is environmental phenomena. So due to global warming, the precipitation is gradually decreasing, and as a result, the arid areas, or what we can say, the desertification is increasing on a large scale. So what is it? It is a loss of natural habitat for the plants and animals. So we have to control the ecology so that this global warming can be reduced. That means we human society has to become much more aware about all these negligences that we are creating or we are what we can say proceeding or taking the that is initiative to create a loss in the environment. So for that we have to be very much aware about it. Many species have become vulnerable or endangered, and some are on the verge of extinction. Now in this respect, I'll just mention one thing. Basically, IUCN, that is International Union of the Conservation of Nature and Natural Laws, IUCN is basically an organization. This organization is listing out the species, that whether the species are normal species, whether they are endangered, whether they are vulnerable, whether they are endemic, whether they are rare, or whether they are extinct. So this IUCN organization, that is International Union for the Conservation of Nature and Natural Laws, this organization is taking the steps to categorize the species into these 6 categories. What are those 6 categories? Normal species, endangered species, vulnerable species, then comes rare species, endemic species, and extinct species. So these are the species. Now, the next reason why we should conserve it, deforestation is on large scale, which results to soil erosion, and basically it is due to constructional activities, normal forest fires, the natural calamities like tsunami and landslides, and some of the human made and the natural factors which together accelerate the process of extinction of these natural resources. So in short, what we can say, it is a combination of the natural and the human factors which is continuously activating on the nature and creating the degradation or just creating a ecological disbalance or the imbalance. That is the reason we need to conserve it. Next, one of the major concern is the decreasing of the number of a particular species. Now, I'm just giving one example. You have heard about red panda, which is very much present. Even the bears, which are there in the that is the mountainous hilly areas. Now, these species are reducing. Even I'm giving one more example: Asiatic lion. Now, Asiatic lion is extinct for entire Asia except it is there in India. It is there in Gir forest in Gujarat. So these species are gradually declining. So we have to be much more cautious. We have to enlist out, and by various steps we have to increase their number. That is why conservation is very much needed. Next, it is the animals are poached for the collection and the illegal trade of hides, skin, nails, teeth, horns, and as well as feathers. Now, even the furs also, we are having the furs also, feathers and furs. So, what is it? We are, human society are very greedy, and we are very much there to earn more profit for our leisure, for our luxurious life, but we are creating a damage to the environment. Thus why there is a need of conservation. Now there are some animals, just now I mentioned tiger is there, lion is there, elephant is there, deer is there, black buck, crocodile, rhino, snow leopard, ostrich, and peacock. All these animals have reached the stage of critical condition or endangered condition. So these are there to be under the that is the conservational strategies. Now next, how we can conserve it. Now, what are the ways we can conserve it? By formulation of national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, biosphere reserves are made to protect our natural vegetation and wildlife. Now, national parks and wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, there is specifically all types of wild animals. They are conserved in their natural habitat condition. Wildlife sanctuary, basically it is one specific category of the species is concentrated, and under this wildlife sanctuaries, that is the interference is bit there for the tribal society, but in a limited manner to collect the, basically to collect the timber or to collect their twigs or leaves for their livelihood. But for the national park, it is totally prohibited. And biosphere reserve, they are doing the work of conservation. They are doing the work of development. Development means the species which are have reached the endangered categories. With the help of getting the hybrid species, by the process of hybridization, the numbers are increasing. And then we are doing the research work that how we can increase the number. So basically, biosphere reserves is not only doing the work of conservation, rather it is also doing the work of development, and it is also creating the research areas for enriching the environment by various ways. Now the second is conservation of the creeks, lakes and wetlands is necessary to save the precious resources from depletion. Now these are the areas where the mangrove species basically prevails. So if we are not if we are filling up the lakes, if we are filling up the wetlands for the construction of the settlements or any sort of infrastructure, so obviously these species will deplete on a large scale. So we have to conserve these creek, lakes and wetlands for reducing the depletion or for the betterment of the environment. Human activities in several parts of the world have disturbed the natural habitat of many species. Due to indiscriminate killing, several birds and animals have become extinct or the verge of extinction. So, what is our step? We have to make some laws to prohibit this killing and hunting activities. So, laws has to be formulated. That means legislation has to be formulated or has to be developed so that we can stop, we can prohibit, or we can penalize these people, those who are doing these activities damaging the environment. Next, awareness program like social forestry and Van Mahotsava should be encouraged at the regional and the community level. Now, what is this social forestry? Social forestry means in the rural area where there is a farmland, if we are continuously cultivating the trees, then obviously we are increasing the numbers or we are doing agroforestry. And in the urban areas like where there is a community land, if we are growing the green belts, now you have seen all the multiplexes are just concerned about developing the green belts. Even in the national thermal power plants area, that is NTPC areas, the green belts are being nurtured. Why? So that we can clear the environment, we can enrich the environment, we can stop the ecological disbalance. And Van Mahotsava means celebrating the festival of afforestation. Now, NTPC means National Thermal Corporation. NTPC means National Thermal Power Corporation, where thermal plants are there, and you know the thermal plants are the most to pollute the environment. So, if they are continuously encircled with the green belts, then that means they can reduce the environmental pollution. Now, many countries have passed laws declaring that the trades as well as killing of the birds and animals are illegal. Just now I said we have to formulate the laws to stop illegal hunting and killing. In India, killing of lions, tigers, deers, great Indian bustards and peacocks have been banned. So we are conserving it. And one more thing, they are being banned, and there are many projects like Project Tiger, Project Indian Bustard, Project Elephant. These have been introduced so that specifications have been there, and especially the emphasis has been given to these endangered species so that they can increase the number and the disbalance in the ecology can be reduced. Now, an international convention sites, that means it is basically the organization that has been established that lists several species of animals and birds in which trade is prohibited. Now, the full form of the site is the Convention of the International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, as known as the Washington Convention, is a multi-layered treaty to protect endangered plants and animals. So, it is basically the Convention of International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Flora and Fauna. This is an international convention, and what is their motive? To just stop the hunting or stop killing and other that is the declining of the species in these endangered categories of animals and the birds. So these are the ways by which we can conserve the wildlife and natural vegetation. Now just look at some of the pictures of the endangered species. Now these are the top 10 endangered species. You can see I just said about the elephant, orangutan, saola, then Malayan tiger, turtle, Javan rhino, porpoise, then gibbon, kakapo parrot, Amur leopard. These are the top 10 endangered species, and this organization that just now I said, CITES, has taken a huge step to conserve these endangered species so that they cannot reach the category of the extinct species. These are the ways by which we can conserve it, and what are the basic needs for the conservation already I discussed. So hopefully all the topics that I discussed today is clear to you. Your work will be to jot down all these things in your copy. I'm not giving any sort of the worksheet for today. It's to up to date your work till the chapter. I have already completed the chapter. Next class will be related to your exercise portion from the chapter. And if you are having any doubts, just mention it in the comment section. Thank you for following today's class. Have a nice day.